Well, Stan, you and I back in October took a trip, and the video we're about to see is we're standing in your driveway, getting ready to leave on this several-day trip, and I don't think either one of us had any way of knowing how important and how meaningful and this trip was going to be at that time.
No way. We had been that summer, just a few months prior, to try to see Wendell Berry. We didn't get to see Wendell Berry, but we saw his stomping ground. Yeah. That's when I think we hatched the idea that we'd go down and try to see Will Harris, who you had already shared the book with me. I was already turned on to Bold Return to Giving a Damn.
I'm supposed to say that.
Oh, you'll say it. But I had also been researching a guy, Hines Boyd, who had some of the Iberico pigs, just like they had at White Oak Farms, Will Harris' operation. And so I'd been wanting to see those pigs because 7 or 8 years ago, I met a guy named Danny Males in Kilgore, Texas, who had a pasture pig operation that I just thought was fascinating. We started selling his pork in the store, and I thought, one day, maybe when I retire, I'll be able to have a pasture pig or two. And so that's what kind of sent us on the trip, right?
Right. And I was just along because I'm interested in regenerative agriculture, and I love when folks farm in what does Will call it? Radically traditional way. And I was really interested in finding out what that meant. And then as a bonus, I got to meet Dr.
Hines Boyd
and all the good folks there in Monticello, Florida. It was quite a trip. It's the only trip I've ever been on without my wife that was that much fun.
Yeah, I can say the same thing. And it really was a trip that changed my life. I think Buck could say it changed a lot of things for him too. So watch this and you'll see how it all started. Hello, friends. It's Buck and the Parson here.
Hey,
You're going to be hearing a lot more from us in coming weeks. But today, we're making a little journey. We're actually going to be traveling down to Monticello, Florida. That's our destination. Tonight, we're going to probably go to Mobile, maybe Hattiesburg. If we're tired, we'll stop in Hattiesburg. But we're pretty excited, so we'll probably drive all the way to Mobile. And then we're going to go to Bluffton, Georgia. Now, Buck, tell us what's in Monticello and Bluffton.
Monticello, the Parson wants to raise some pastured hogs, and Monticello is home of Glendower Farms, which has Iberico hogs and Iberico cross hogs. And so the pastor's shopping, and I'm along for the ride because I guess I'm an expert on pig flesh. And then we go to Bluffton, Georgia hopefully to see Will Harris, but to see Will Harris's work at White Oak Pastures Farm.
What's the name of that book that Will Harris
y'all
wrote?
got to read the book, and you got to get the audio book because Will Harris reads it himself in that South Georgia dialect.
Yeah.
But it's called A Bold Return to Giving a Damn, and it's his journey into what he's calling radically traditional farming. So we can't wait to see both of those operations.
A bold return to giving a damn really kind of changed my life and my philosophy on the farm. It's all about regenerating your pastures and your gardens, and it's been good to the soil and good to the earth. And Will Harris just an old cowboy, really, but he's got cows and pigs and sheep and everything else, chickens. He's completely transformed his hometown of Bluffton, where they've got all kinds of operations having to do with production, and also they've got meat packing plants and all kinds of things. So we're going to be showing you that before we're through.
He regenerates his pastures, his grazing land, not his pasture.
No.
Don't try to regenerate your pasture. That's a fool's errand. I've tried it.
Now, pastures are not regenerational or whatever. But anyway, we're about to start. Look at there. We got coolers. We may come back with some meat. Who knows? But we're signing off for now, and you'll be hearing from us later on, but not driving down the road. The trip was up and running, and we headed out shortly thereafter. And we were hoping we could make it to Mobile, but didn't know. Buck had already driven from Oklahoma City, so he already had 3 hours behind him before we got started. But we were hungry, weren't we?
We had only had snacks in the truck all day, and we hadn't had a substantial meal till this was 6, 7 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah.
But that is a fine restaurant in Hattiesburg, and I love the fact that they acquire their produce and their meats as locally as they can.
Yeah.
And that they believe so much in it, they painted that whole wall, eat local. And that's singing my song.
That is singing your song. And, you know, another thing about that stop was that Eddie Rester, who's the pastor at Lovers Lane United Methodist Church, where I served for a few years, he served in Hattiesburg, so he knew Robert St. John, and we'd seen a video that he and Chris McAlilly had done on their podcast, The Wait. But Robert St. John, just to make a long story short, was celebrating over 40 years of sobriety. And he told his story about getting into restauranteering, but really doing that in the midst of the time when his life was really in a mess because of addiction. So that made it even a more special stop for me, is just to have been introduced to the owner, in essence, through the podcast. So eat local. That's what we did.
We did.
And we ate some delicious food. So you watch this video and you'll see a little bit more about what we dined on. All right, we're in Hattiesburg, and we just had a delicious dinner at the Crescent City Grill. We were given a tip by the pastor of Lovers Lane United Methodist Church, Dr. Eddie Rester. He spent a little time here in Hattiesburg as the pastor, and he knows the owner, Robert St. John. And he and Chris McAlilly interviewed Robert St. John on their podcast, The Wait. And it was a great interview. I tell you what, Robert's story about his restauranteering is wonderful, but how he beat addiction, been sober for 40 years, since he was 21. And it's just an amazing story. But the food, it was outstanding. You see this Eat Local? That's what we did. We ate local, and boy, was it good.
We all should do.
Yeah. What'd you have?
I had the shrimp etouffee and the fried green tomatoes.
My
And
goodness.
my old friend, Essie Justice,
Yeah.
out in Tennessee, used to say, Lord, no, child, I could not eat another bite if you had chicken and pie. I'm tight as a tick. And that is my condition currently.
I'm pretty tight myself. I had the catfish Plaquemine. I think that Plaquemine parish is down that way. That's what I'm thinking anyway. Anyway, the catfish was fried, and it was covered with shrimp and a wonderful Creole sauce on top of jambalaya. We didn't even have enough room for the bread pudding that Eddie suggested, so we might have to come back someday. So thanks for tuning in. We're heading to Glendower Farms tomorrow. We're going to make it to Mobile tonight, and tomorrow afternoon we'll be seeing Iberico pigs.
Now, this next video was taken on the front porch of the Denham Inn on Monday of our trip. And we'd already been out to see some hogs at Glendower Farms the evening before, and stayed out there way past supper time because we had rounded up this wayward boar who had gotten out, and little did we know what that boar had in store for us in the days to come.
Yeah, that was quite an experience. But we enjoyed meeting Dr. Hines Boyd yesterday. I'm telling you, he has 4 degrees, and one of them is a PhD in agriculture from the University of Florida. And I don't know about you, but I learned more in 24 hours about pigs than I'd learned in 65 years.
Me too. I was a neophyte when it comes to hogs, and then I felt. Yeah.
And I'd been stalking Hines and Glendower literally for 3 years because I'd gotten interested in the Iberico pig. And anytime you Google Iberico anything, Glendower's going to come up. And Hines was one of the first to bring the pigs over from Spain. He was right on the ground floor of these Spanish pigs coming to America. But he'd be the first to say, we didn't bring the first ones over here. The first ones came over with the Spanish conquistadors about 500 years ago.
Yeah, Ferdinand de Soto has something
Yes,
to say
sir.
about a statement like that.
So Hines at least was given credit where credit was due. But what a wonderful man with so much knowledge about agriculture, and that really was cool. So watch this video from the front porch of Denham Inn.
Good morning, everybody. We're sitting on the porch of the Denham Inn, where we built in 1872, where we spent the night last night, and it's chilly here in North Florida.
It is.
We're up here looking at hogs and meeting new friends, and it's been a wonderful morning, and we've got a lot planned for today.
Yeah. We found out when we checked in yesterday that Pat, who owns this beautiful house and has restored it, took 3 years to restore it. She's a United Methodist. And she told us the story of their church. It went through a split like we're so familiar with. And Hines Boyd, who owns the Glendower Farm, he too is a United Methodist. And now they're part of the same United Methodist church that had to find their own place. And the Presbyterians opened the doors for them. And they're so proud of what it means to be a United Methodist at best, and all of their money that goes to missions and also the inclusive nature of the church. They're just really proud of that. And we are too. But today we're going to go out to Glendower, and we're going to experience the plantation. There's been in the family for 8 generations since 1838. So it's pretty amazing. And Buck, what do you want to bring?
Well, we're going to look at hogs a little bit more, which is it's always fun. And then we're going to head north to Bluffton, Georgia, and I got something to live for today. I'm looking forward to, by the time we get there this evening, I'm looking forward to having a good piece of meat from the White Oak Pastures farm on a grill in the place where we're staying, and we may bring some of that to you. Not the meat, but the video of it tonight. So it'll be a good day.
Yeah, eating's a part of what we're doing, and today we had a wonderful breakfast. It's a bed and breakfast here, and Kelly, who served us, she said the eggs came from my chickens. She has 16 chickens. They were delicious. And the sausage came from Johnson's Meat Company here in Monticello, which pretty acclaimed here by the locals. And so we may check out Johnson's Meat Company before we get out of town. It really, really was delicious. But if you're ever in Monticello, Florida, you've got to stay here at the Denham Inn. It is quite the treat. So we'll see you later. We'll show you some pigs before the day is over.
And remember, you're working, we're not. Have a good day. This next video was taken later that same day, Monday of our trip. And we had gone out for a second time to Dr. Boyd's plantation home. You can see the driveway leading up to the main house beside us. And just as I had hinted at before, that same boar, who was huge, a 400 or 500 pound boar, got out again. Well, I learned the hard way that part of the etiquette of one of these situations is you don't just leave the guy with a hog out like that. You have to help get that hog rounded back up. And so I stood in an alley with a stick and stared him down for a while until the 2 others got him to move the way we wanted him to move. And I don't know what I'd have done if he'd come at me, but because that stick was not sufficient for his 400 or 500 pound self.
All I can say is Buck did not miss his calling. He's not bad at herding hogs, but, he's a better teacher, I'm sure. But anyway, that was quite the experience. Now, we did go out for a second time, and I really started looking at pigs that I thought I might like to bring home to East Texas. That particular boar Buck has talked about is a half Iberico, half Michon, and just a beautiful animal. But the reason he was getting out is because he wanted to get back into the pasture where he'd been raised. And this boar and some other sows were going to California. That was their destination, so we had to get them all pinned up. But just enjoy the beauty of this plantation, some 3,500 acres, I think. At one time, of course, was a cotton plantation and has grown crops through the years, and now it's pretty much a ranch, cattle, and these Iberico pigs.
And the minute we got up from making this video, we got in the truck, we went to the end of the driveway, turned left to go north to Bluffton, Georgia. I knew that our friend Stan had caught the bug. He was going to buy some hogs at some point or another. Didn't know when it was going to be, but he was decided at that point.
I believe Buck is right about that. I was decided at that point. I wasn't going to drive all the way out to Bluffton, Georgia, by way of Monticello, Florida, and come back empty-handed and not following a dream that I'd had literally for 7 or 8 years of getting some pasture pigs. All right, friends, it's Buck and the Parson here, and we have just seen Glendower Farm, an 8th-generation farm, and we've seen the pigs that are left of Mr. Boyd's herd. Now, Buck, what did you gain from this?
Well, keeping a pure strain of anything is difficult, and there's a lot more work than I thought there was. And pigs are a whole lot smarter than I gave them credit for. We've had to round up this one wayward boar yesterday and today, and he's just smarter than any of us were. But we got him back in again.
You hear a mower going on, and this old plantation. You can see the house. That's where Mr. Boyd was born. You can see it in the background, but you know, there are 3,000 acres owned by him and relatives in this plantation, and you can see these old trees. So we're on our way right now to White Oak Farms, and we wanted to show you these trees. One tree that I stood in front of, we think that tree is over 300 years old.
At least.
And some of these trees are probably pushing 200 or better, but been a great time. Buck, are you ready to head out?
I'm hotter than a $2 pistol after walking around. Let's go.
Let's go.
All right.